Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. This is yet another stream for Swordtember 2025. In this case, we're on day 3 now, even though we're 4 days into the month. And the prompt for the day is Automaton. So what does that mean for us? That is a great question. I spent some time Googling and thinking about different ways in which I could tackle this prompt for today, and honestly, I came up short. A lot of ideas, a lot of inspiration, a lot of wishful thinking about my skills, particularly in geometry nodes, and yeah, I got nothing. So it's gonna be a doozy. We're gonna start on this together. I'm gonna check on the stream health real quick and make sure everything looks good on the interweb, and it seems like it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started right after I let the folks over on Discord know that we're here. And so if you're new to the channel, thanks for joining. My name is Arturo. I'm an artist and a technologist. I use Blender, Unreal, Unity, a bunch of different tools, both traditional tools and AI tools in my workflows, as just a means of trying to express myself and to share with the world the things that I'm working on. So I'm actually going to go ahead and send a couple of little announcements about the fact that this live stream is happening right now, and then we will go ahead and get started. But in the meantime, if you're joining and you're watching, let me know where you're joining from. There we go. Letting folks know we're here. And I'm also going to go ahead and post some stuff about it online as well. Let's see, where are folks joining in from? Nowheresville, nowhere. Nice. That's exactly what we want. So I'm going to mute myself real quick. And gonna unmute myself. I'm posting a reel, which you'll see if you follow me on Instagram. All of my socials and whatnot are the same, and you can find them in the link of the description of this video, or just ask in the chat if you're curious. I'm gonna go ahead and set this up. Cool. And let's actually do a little thing here for me later. One moment. We'll just leave that right there. Eehee. Cool. Okay. Let's edit this video down real quick, and then we'll go ahead and get started. This is the thing about being, we have one viewer, hello. The thing about being online is that you're either online or you're not. And I don't really want to be, but you gotta be for things like this. Also, it's just nice to jump online and chat with friends. I'm always surprised who ends up joining, but always very grateful too. I'm almost done with this link situation, and then we'll go ahead and get things going. Channel really should find a way to automate all this stuff, and Automate is a funny word to use there because obviously, you know, that's the prompt for today. There we go. Okay, we're almost done here, I promise. How come you can't change a link after you've put it on? I promise we're almost there. There we go. And all right, I think that's good. Cool. So, we're back in black. Things are better than ever, and we're done uploading to Instagram. Should be uploaded now. Discord knows that we're here. Everybody knows that we're here. It's a good time. Let's get things going. Does this link actually lead to this video? Perfect. Great. All right, so we'll get things going. As I was mentioning earlier, before I took a little break to start uploading all that stuff to Instagram, I don't really have any inspiration for today's sword. Today's theme is, and we'll actually bring that text back and then go day 3, Automaton, because that's what we're working on. 3. Let's do Swordtember 2025. Day 3. There we go. And let's give this text some depth. Sweet. And we'll start kind of different from how I started yesterday. I didn't really set the camera up until the end, I don't think. I'm going to go ahead and start doing that now with my favorite add-on, Photographer. Now, this is not sponsored, but I believe I might have a link in the description. If I don't, I'll add it later. I love this add-on, as I mentioned yesterday. If you were on yesterday's stream, it really helps me take all the guesswork out of the way that I'm setting things up in Blender, because it just lets me tap into my photography brain and organize myself in digital space in 3D as I would if I were taking an actual photo or video. You can manage things like the motion blur and the depth of field and such, and it does make a difference. So let's go ahead and jump in here like this. I'm going to mute myself. Actually, I'm going to confirm that we can hear me. Yep, great. You can hear me. We are live. Things are good. Okay, so Automaton, yeah, what are we doing for this prompt? I'm not quite sure yet. I don't have any sort of inspiration that I've gathered. That would be a good idea, but I think let's just go ahead and start with making a blade, and then the other details can come to us later, and it will be all right. One of the things that I also didn't do yesterday was start at an appropriate size, so I ended up having to resize everything. Not today. If you're new to Blender or you don't know what we're looking at, this is a 3D creation suite that is free and open source. I happen to be using it with a couple of plugins and add-ons that give me a little bit more of an edge. Haha. Laughing because of the sword puns, but the whole point is that you can kind of make it what you want it to be. And over the past I want to say 5, almost 6 years. Actually, no, 6 years now. In September, that's right. I've been learning this tool and implementing it into my workflows to make the art and the, I don't want to say content, but yeah, the content that I want to make. Sometimes it looks kind of cool. I'm going to be super precious about it. I think what will take this over the edge is actually making something a little unique or unexpected. So let's say we've got the blade here. It's not very sharp. And initially I wanted to use plasticity, which is this other tool. But I'm not super familiar with that tool yet, so that's not going to happen. I also, not to draw too much attention to it, but already ruined it. I'm going to try not to say so many times. One of the other reasons why I want to do this more regularly is practicing speaking. Have you ever done that? It's not as clear cut as you would expect. All right, so we've got a shape of a sword, kind of. I'm gonna go ahead and toggle in some things that I normally have toggled on to Blender. I have been swapping around computers a little bit, and so unfortunately I don't have my setup exactly how I would like it, but no matter, we'll make it work. There we go. That feels a little more swordy. No? Maybe from there, but not from the bottom over here. So we'll grab this edge and bring them in. This should be fine. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. More sword-like. Great. So we got the blade aspect of it. If we turn it to the side, does it look like it cuts? Kind of. Make it a little thinner. Apply all the transforms. Shade auto smooth again. Let's see what happens when we flat. Nope. Maybe we want this. It's fine. And we are going to... Oh my god. It's Markham 3D. Look at you, sir, as well. So happy that you're here. So happy to hear from you. I hope things are going well on your end. It's definitely been a minute since we've had the opportunity to chat, my friend, but always a pleasure and a joy to see your name and your face in my mentions, in my dreams, too. Whoa. Let's see. So we've got this sword here, and we're working on the crossguard now. We don't want that. Let's see if this bend will do us any taper. This could be cool, but just off of the one edge. Okay. I mean, I'll take it. This is a very simple, as the name suggests in the modifier itself, very simple to form. Let's just apply it. Oh, you can apply it as a shape key. Interesting. What have you been up to, Marco? And how are things in the old Australia? For this, we'll want to see through. And I'm just going to bring this cross guard back a little bit, and maybe go back to the top and give it kind of this look as though the blade is actually set in there. Maybe we good enough. And just so things don't get boring, we can go ahead and start applying some materials to things. Even just some simple stuff like this. So we've got the blade, and now we've got, there it goes again saying, now we've got all these faces which will separate. Forgot what part of the blade that is, but let's see. Going to check this. Great. That feels kind of cool. Now this gap that we've got from the part that we separated is not really making sense. That's okay, we can fill it. There we go. And maybe we might want to grab these edges here, and bevel them just so. Doesn't need to be too perfect. Oh man, we've got, holy smokes. All right, chat's blowing up. It's 12:20 in Australia. Whoa. And we got John Haley in the chat. Hello, John. Marco's trying to take over the chat. We got the cobbler here. What's going on? Wow, this is cool. 3D. You can hear me. Huh. Marco's tired trying to get 3D AI Builder working. Yeah. That's going to be a tricky one. Oh man, my audio bitrate is suffering. What does that mean? Let's see if I can do anything about this. Although I think we may be a little... Oh. Okay, let me know if you can hear me. Okay. All right. It says that you can hear me, so I'm going to keep flying with it for now, but definitely let me know if you don't hear me. I can hear you, but audio is low compared to other videos. Huh. Marco, would you say that my audio is pretty low too? I can try to do something about it. I think that is a live stream thing. Okay, cool. Well, I'm just gonna go ahead and chalk it up to it being a live stream situation. I can try to speak a little bit louder or boost my gain up, but my levels are reading pretty good. I don't want to bump it up too much, actually. So we got this sword situation going. Looks good so far, he says, even though he made it himself. And we got friends in the chat. That always feels good as well. Just doing a quick little time check here. Can't be more than half an hour of blabbing without actually having some form of a sword, and we're half an hour in or so, and so far so good. OBS lies on meters, says Cobbler. That is true. I'm sorry if my audio is not super loud right now. I don't know how I can adjust it live without potentially making it worse. So I'm just going to leave it as is. I actually realized I don't really need all this geometry. Not that this is going to be a game object, but I think it's actually working against me. I'm just going to do that. And we'll take this and just bring it to about there. Does that feel about right? It doesn't make too much of a difference because, again, no one's wielding this sword, but we want to do it right. Thanks so much, Marco, for joining in. Hope you have a restful evening. Appreciate that. Appreciate you joining in. For those that don't know, Marco, aka Markham3D, has a YouTube channel and a server as well, I believe, where he walks through a bunch of different processes for making short films in Blender. Some of my favorites and some of the ones that I learned with when I started using the tool. So if you haven't already, I recommend you check those out. Markham3D. He's a good guy. Funny jokes, funny humor, and great resource for learning Blender as well. Okay. We've got something of a sword, but what I wanted to work on today wasn't necessarily only the sword function of things. I'm going to check on the health of the stream real quick. Seems to be good. I'm going to try once again to log in to Midjourney. I tried this yesterday, it didn't want to work. Perfect, it works today. And the reason for that is I want to make some form of background for this. So I'm going to just type in some text prompt to get an image, and then hopefully we can use that to our advantage. Nope, of course the AI won't give us what we want. We have to be highly, highly specific. So let's see, what do I want? I want like a breadboard, circuit board. Phone wallpaper sort of thing. So that's exactly what I'm typing in. And I've just dropped my handy dandy tablet pen. There we go. The tip didn't break, so that's good. No more ums, except for the next 10. So we've got the image. I'm going to save it. It's not super fancy, but it will do. We'll use it as a plane. And actually, do I have that plugged in? Yes. Oh. Okay, before we get our first crash, let's go ahead and save. I'm going to save this as 3 Automaton. No inputs. What is this? Okay, we don't need to work on that right now. Okay. And so if you don't know true depth, which I'm not sure will actually work for this, is an add-on that lets you, I'm going to go ahead and just switch over to me for now as I try to find this file. We'll let you take an image, and yes, it seems like it will work. Generate a depth map from it. If you're not familiar with depth maps, it's effectively a black and white version of your input image. So you take an image, and then you have, in this case, an algorithm generate a black and white version of it, where depending on the organization of the depth map, the white values are typically what's closer to the camera, and then the darker values, so from full white to full black, is whatever is furthest from the camera view. In this case, this is an AI generated image of a circuit board type thing. And so what we can do with the one with this image pair, otherwise known as like an RGBD for red, green, blue, and then D for depth. So you've got your original image RGB, and then the RGBD is the pair of the two images, both the original image and then the depth map. Is that when we combine those, we can then tell something like Blender, take all of the values that are white and extrude them this much out towards the camera, and then keep everything that's kind of a darker value from gray to black in the background, or don't extrude that part. And this is a pretty useful tool to use when you're doing things kind of fast and on the fly like this, but also in general, because it allows you to really quickly generate depth from an input image. And we'll see what that looks like as soon as I put my glasses back on. Okay. So now, if this all works, and I hit create mesh, it should create a mesh. Yes, that is extruded. And we can see that this extrusion is exaggerated, but I believe we can also tweak exactly how much we want that to be the case. So in this case, we don't necessarily want this board to be too extruded, and we do want to be pushed in here on the sword a little bit, and we'll go ahead and take the focus and place it back on the sword and scale this board up. And so now, yep, we have this board, circuit board looking thing, and I didn't have to model all the individual little parts of it, which is great because I don't have a lot of time. Now we'll go into the actual rendered view, and we do have one light here. We have a couple things that we have to organize. So let's call this circuit board. Also gonna just opt for using this pen here, and then we'll call all of this sword. Maybe a little bit better than that in case I want to use it later. Day 3 automaton sword. And here's another thing that we'll want to do. So in this case, I'm going to go back into Midjourney here, and I can show you what that looks like. Let's go to, oh boy. Will this work? Okay, let's try it. We'll do it live, even though I'm scared. So we're here in Midjourney, and what will you imagine? In this case, we want a set of flashing numbers and electrical currents. And I'm actually going to go into conversational mode, which will let me just talk to this thing. And we'll tell it what aspect ratio we want so that we can use it for our render. And while this is doing its thing, I'm going to go ahead and have a sip. Seems to be done. I kind of like this one because it's facing the camera, but maybe we'll go with this one. Let's go to high motion. And as this is generating our animation, we'll go ahead and run another one. What does a computer see? Show me. Why not? And of course, we didn't specify what aspect ratio we want, so it's not going to give us that. But this is actually a little bit closer to what I'm interested in or curious about, is these kind of angular lights. This one seems to be done. I think I can Let's see, let's use this image as the input image. Is it going to work? Perhaps not. Style. Okay. Let's see. Ooh, wait, hold on. I'm liking where these are going. %92 complete. Cool. Let's take this one and download it. And we'll head back to Blender. And now that we've got this dark scene over here, why don't we light things up a little bit by importing an image as a mesh plane. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and select this image that we've just downloaded and import this image as a plane. We'll go into the shader editor. Shader editor. And plug in this emission and this will always elude me, but I know that there's a way to make this alpha situation clip. That ain't it. Okay. Okay, well, it's worth looking up. The number of times I've had to Google how to do this is embarrassing, but maybe it's because it doesn't work for MP4s and it should be a PNG sequence. That doesn't feel right. See how folks are doing. Cool. Everything seems to be in order. Great. So the whole point of having this thing here is that we want it to be floating. We want these numbers to be floating in space. The stuff that, oh, maybe it's as simple as a color ramp. Yep. We'll throw a color ramp in there. Is this right? Where are the blend modes? Cool. That's not giving us what we want. Okay, let's look into this a little bit further. Surface. Let's dissolve that. See if that gives us back our blend mode. No. don't want to maybe that's what was throwing us off a little bit. Let's try again. Nope. My computer's going crazy. How is the stream health going? Looks good. Okay. Well, aha. Wait, so I think I had a couple things plugged in where they weren't supposed to be. That's not going to do anything for us. Okay. This is good enough for what I'm going for, I think. Yeah, something like that. Great. It only took us 5 hours in a day, but now if we scroll through, we see these numbers going, and I think it's only 125 frames, which is perfect because we don't want to do too long of an animation, but hopefully now you get the idea. And if we warp this just a little bit to give it some dimension, we can go ahead and kind of make it look a little like stuff's happening. We got some numbers going. We've completely lost this thing in the back, but that's okay. We will bring it back. I'm using now Blender Kit, which is an add-on that used to come built in with Blender. Now you have to get it separately. Blender Kit, and it's pretty great because it just lets you take some tools like materials, models, HDRIs, and quickly load them into Blender without having to do too much, which we like. Okay. And in this case, I'm just going to choose a random space. Let's see. Have something spacey here. This. Is that going to give us what we want? Not really, because it's so dark. Okay, let's set this. Sword is still here in the background. Do a light probe. And what we want to for the sword itself is energy radiating upwards from the bottom of the frame up. And we'll call it, oh, no, Let's see what this looks like. And we don't want to see me. Let's see, Blender. So we've got this sword shape. We've got this thing that's going to be in front of it. We'll put it behind for now. See if that makes sense. Or maybe we can animate it from here. Oops. From here in the beginning. And then towards the end, it can come across the sword like that. And let's see what that looks like on camera. Kind of cool. We still can't see the sword. That's okay. We'll add things like a physical sun pointing at the sword. Now, what I don't understand about this light setup in Photographer sometimes is when it comes in upside down. Just to keep things a little interesting, we'll go from this angle the sword to here. Oops. We'll deal with the focus and all that stuff later. Let's just see if it feels good. Yeah, we kind of want it to be more here at this point. And I keep checking my wrist just because I'm getting a bunch of notifications there. So I want to make sure that I'm not being told that you can't hear me or something. Let's animate this low motion. Should have set it to loop. Let's just do loop high motion because we can do a bunch. And you can't see what I'm talking about, but I'm just rerunning some of the renders over in Midjourney so that we can get something a little bit closer to what we want. And what I'm going to do then is just put those on the sword so that we can have some kind of energy emanating from the sword. So we'll call this, this sword must have 32 gigabytes of RAM. Yeah, it's got a lot of RAM. So we'll go here and change some of these things to be out of here. We'll call these lights. It's got to stay a little organized. We got blade. We got cross guard. We've got whatever this thing is, blade protector. I should look it up. Let's see. What's the thing protecting the blade at the bottom of the, or no, blade where it connects to the crossguard? Find out. Ricasso or parrying hooks. Not sure that's what that is, but we'll take it. And we've got our animations almost complete on this end. I actually quite like this one. Good enough for me. Let's download it and back to Blender. Cool. So now we're in Blender. I'm going to hide these numbers, which are kind of crazy. I think I might do something other than numbers, but in the meantime, let's go ahead and load in some images. Great. So we've got our image. It's, let's say, 125 frames. Cyclic auto refresh. We want, how did we have that set up before with the things that I just hid? Base color. Yep, that's pretty simple. just focus on this for now. Take the metallic down. Just for now. Okay, and so by the magical property of things that always work out the way that they're supposed to, that's supposed to be emanating, but we can't really see it. Are we in? Yeah, okay, so it's doing the thing. And we can confirm that by going to the UV editor here and selecting that's not what we want, this one. And then, yes, so it is, in fact, doing the thing. And we can see that because when we select the sword, which in this case I will do from the front view and hit U to unwrap and project from view, we have the sword now here in the bottom left corner, fully, let's change this here. And so right now it looks like the power is going down, but we don't want that. We want this to be like that, so that the power is going up the sword. And in terms of emission, maybe we add the same, remove the base color here. Will that ruin the alpha? Yeah. And make it powerful like that. And I actually want it to be not that, because it's an automaton. It has to be a little green, don't you think? Although, will this ruin our transparency? Perhaps not. Okay, so we've got our sword. And maybe one thing that we can do to push this a little bit is to start adding these tiny lights here. So we will do some emissive materials on these lights. Cool. Take that, crank it up to 1 million, and maybe make it computer blue. And see what that looks like in the darkness of space. Not really the brightest. I wonder why. That's okay. And just add a point light there. To further exaggerate that. And we'll give it the same color. And then take this setup of the point light and the cube. So we'll call this little light, because why not? And this is actually not part of this collection, it's part of the circuit board. And we will take the point light too and select both of them and duplicate them and place them somewhere else. So in this case, just going to put them here. Hopefully that took both the light and the other the little ball that we're wanting to take. And if we go to rendered view, and you can see that it did in fact do that. Unfortunately, we moved the camera. Now we're back. There's one light casting on that, and let's make sure that we can select everything. We're going to take this situation and also duplicate it and place it somewhere here. For some reason, it's not duplicating the lights too. So we'll just change the cursor to selected, and then take this light and move the selection to the cursor. And with this light selected, remove that. Let's see where it went. And set the origin to the center mass, selection to cursor. And now we went kind of where we expected to go, but not really. What is happening here with these lights? Ooh, does that make it look a little crazier? Let's just get rid of these. We'll parent the light, the actual light object, to that, and it won't make a difference because it still won't go. Okay. It's 11. So we've been at this for an hour, and we've got some stuff going, which is good. Don't mind me while I drink out of my Spider-Man cup. Let's keep this thing going. Okay, so I'm having trouble selecting this light for some annoying reason. Let's see if I can just duplicate it. Yes, there we go. And send it here. No. Delete. So we've set the transform and origin to, there we go, center of mass. Duplicate that. Now it should snap. Perfect. So we got this in here. This should be a different color. Let's make that a green. And then we'll take this point light, which is kind of, oh, it is parented. Clear parent, keep transformation. We'll just do that for all of these so that they're loose. Again, red light. We'll make this one red. And then green light. Great. Got 1 point, red. Where is it? There. And then we'll go for the other one, green. Shift, place that right about there, bring it out, change it to green. Almost feels like we can do without these lights. Yep. Just unnecessary. And we'll take these two others, and duplicate them. Bring them up here. Maybe rotate. Yep. And that gives us some dimension for the sword. We've also got this nice shape situation going on here with the edges of the sword. And I wonder if it'll make it better to have this be a little more dramatic in terms of how we're actually creating power from this sword. Does that work? Hmm. Kind of gets lost in the sauce. But I like the way this is looking. I'm thinking, brain's buffering. Let's take a break on that, go back to the first frame, and then focus on these other parts. We will slap on some quick materials onto this. Steel is what we're looking for here. Dark steel, why not? Throw it in there. It's not going to apply for some reason, but no matter. Kind of works out. Can't really see it like that. That's okay. No one will know. Now this piece here, I want to do something different from this, which is take this bottom edge, inset it to give it a little bit of depth like that. And let's see what this looks like. Huh? Not bad. Cool. And let's see if we can do something about these. So we'll inset them and then extrude faces along normals, and rather than bring them in, we'll just, or rather pull them out, we'll bring them in. That will give us some type of dimension here. And we can also make sure that everything is just going according to plan. Okay, feels good. Maybe we put some form of light down here. So what we do is add a new material to this and assign it just to the bottom bit, and we'll call this sword or pommel. I think that's the whole thing, but it's okay, no one's checking. And we'll actually do the same here. Let's find a material that we want. Call it steel. Let's do more steel. Stainless, black steel. Ooh, that is dark. Let's see. That's insane. I don't understand how that's happening. Maybe it's a unwrap situation? Not quite. What we want. Damascus steel. Eevee's heated steel. Let's see. Still not really giving us the kind of glow that I want, but maybe there's something to it. It's just quite dark. Let's see if maybe we can add some more light. Maybe a spotlight. Do we have a sun? We do, and it's already pointing that way. Okay. Looking something up real quick. See. Trying to make this something that feels more like something you can actually hold. Don't like that material. And I'm gonna have to separate stuff out like this so that we can actually apply materials just to the selection. That's still way too dark for that, and I don't think that this HDRI is really doing us any favors, so I'm just gonna look for something like Nebula, since that's kind of the color scheme that we got. That's good enough for me. Let's throw it in there. Yeah. Ooh, that feels a lot better. And now we can actually catch light on the sword, which is good. Great. That feels good. We are cooking. That's cool. Except the part where it turns into numbers again. Maybe what I can do, I'll work on that later actually, is offset the timing here. Or is it immediately after? Okay, it's the last frame. Doesn't even matter. Great. Cool, so we've got the sword sorted. Sorry. Let me refresh here and make sure we're still on track. Great. Okay, you get to make a defining choice if you're watching. Do we keep working on the sword or work on the scene? Oh no. It's not really doing what I want it to be doing, but that's okay. Oh, that's right. The Musgrave texture doesn't exist anymore. Let's just do noise. Let's see what that looks like. Great. We'll add that to the roughness. And it should feel a little less. And maybe what we can do, it might be a little crazy, but is select these parts. And then if we select similar by, is it area? No. Similar by normal? No. Similar. It's got to be one of these. Coplanar? No. Base region? Huh? Kind of. I can just select the other ones manually, but if you know how to get me away from doing that, I would love to know. We'll just select all of these. Make sure this is the only thing in the world. Want you to make me feel. We'll grab these. It's okay. There's not that many of them. It's going to be fine. That was mostly for me. Okay. That didn't take that long. And now what we want to do is actually, we don't want any of these. How do I undo you? There you go. Great. And what we want is actually to make a new material, or rather select this one. No. What? Where's that other material? Is it this one? I think so. That one? Yes. And then assign it just to those parts. Maybe we remove it from here. We select all of these, take that off, select this material, assign it to those. And then what that's going to look like as it scrolls is like there's like the energy is also going up the sword. Like that. And I think we can maybe add some details here. If Marco were still here, in other words, if it weren't midnight in Australia, he would probably recommend adding some details like this. Not that they look too real, but just kind of makes it feel a little more thought out, which we need, you know. Let's just do another one here, because why not? Although there actually is a why not, and does it make sense still to hold? And if you're holding it from here, which is where all the power is coming, then maybe it makes a little less sense. So we add a section. Right here, where it's just for holding. And now if we go back to the whole thing, it looks a little silly, but we can fix it. We just don't need this to be that dramatically. Yeah. Not bad, but not great, if I'm being honest with myself. Let's just see what it looks like. Scale this up a little and move it up so that we don't clip out of it at the end of this frame. Do we see it? We kind of do. Oh, there we go. That doesn't really make sense. A blade kind of that big for a sword. That small. Let's move the camera back a tiny bit on that first move. And down. Yeah, no, we're all over the place now. Scale this up, bring it back. Take this and push it here. There on the first frame. Here on the first frame. That's just an insane what is this part called? There, that feels better. We still don't have a material for this. But here's another cool thing that we can do actually with this circuit board business. Add a material, select yep, select these faces. Choose here, board. And then we can let's just do one at a time. A friendly recommendation for anyone who is streaming: use the restroom before you get started. Helps a ton. I should have done that. Just gonna keep doing angle-based unwraps on these because why not? I don't think anyone will see this part, but I'll know. And then down here too. Cool, that looks good enough to me. And we will make that a new material. Call it crossguard. Crank up the metallic. Crank up or down the roughness. Bring up the value so that we can actually see it against the darkness. And see if this makes any sense. Not really. Okay. 11:21. We got. I'm only willing to do this for another half hour before I have to commit. We look smack down in the middle. We got probably right about here. Maybe what's really throwing me off about this is also just that not liking this crossguard at all. Blade looks fine. Could maybe do with making it a bit longer, so it makes sense. Okay. Now the trick for when you don't like your cross guard. Let me tell you about the trick. Is you just start throwing spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. And it won't be that. Maybe part of it is also just that the shape is not quite. Something's just not feeling good about this. That feels a little more cybernetic to me. I think ultimately that's what I'm going for. What's feeling not great. Maybe it's just that they're missing detail. Okay. Kind of like a long sword, broadsword situation. Does it look so great? Nothing. I'm gonna give up on this material. Let's dramatically adjust our cross guard. And we'll add the same material just to that part. We'll select the opposite, add a new material, and give it maybe this. And then now it looks like, yeah. Now it kind of makes somewhat of a sense. Now we've got this sword. I'm gonna just leave it like it is. and select these lights, throw them in there. Select the blade. Okay. Aha. And this is the background. So this is part of. There we go. We'll call this glow. And we've got our camera set up like so. We can close this out now. Okay. And for the last, what time are we on? For the last half hour, I'm just going to work on what this is going to look like when it's finished in terms of the animation and stuff. So we will bump this up a little bit and focus on our sword. But actually first, before we do all that, let's, a word from our sponsors. This video is brought to you by me. I am sponsored by me. So I would like to thank you for watching. That's it. Okay, so we're going to select everything except for this empty, which we'll call sword empty. And then we will take all the objects here, grab that empty, parent them to the empty. So now when we rotate this empty, we can actually rotate the sword itself. And that's great. That's what we want. So we'll start out maybe like this and place it here. And then towards the end, we will want to rotate it probably about that much and place it there. So now that should look like, yep, like the sword's moving. And then we'll set the camera up like this. Here, mark that, go to the end, and maybe bump in. No. No way that is the same spot. What was that? Oh, the circuit board. Got it. Oy vey. Delete those. So we've got, yep, got the sword rotating. We'll start the camera move from here. This time mark the camera move. And then we will rotate to over here. Mark that camera move there. That's good enough. Cool. So now we know what the move's like. Bump this up, leave it there. That way, from one side to the other, we have dimension. We can also see this in the background. So we'll start that over. We'll go beginning of the frame, or at the beginning of the animation, we will delete the keyframe here. Yep. And we'll start. Let's just bring up another window to make it easier. And let's detach from the camera. Detach from the camera here too, so that we don't get that annoying little thing. Zoom in, clear this up. And now we know that this is clipping through, so we'll push it back. Beginning of the animation, shade smooth. We will mark it here. And then as the animation goes all the way towards the end, we will get this swelling push. Let's say to here, see what that looks like in real time. Huh. So because it's zoomed in, it's a little bit, it's looking funny. Let's see if it fixes anything. Yes and no. Maybe what we can do is also animate our strength here. So we'll start from 0, or maybe 0.1, all the way to the beginning. And then as we start going right about here, we will glow up. It's kind of cool, but we are not in focus. We want depth of field, let's say, to be 5.6. We want white balanced, leave it as it is. Exposure, here we go. Motion blur won't show up for some reason, that's okay. You can also use false color to check if things are looking a little too blown out. Some of them definitely are. So maybe we can bring this back down to 200. And I think at the end of this move, we actually want this to be fully gone. So how do I... Oh, I see. Maybe part of the trick here is to add a mix shader. Not that. Mix shader. I'll come back here for a little bit just to say hello. And we want transparency. Ooh, yes. Okay. So that's kind of the effect that I wanted for this. So we'll start with that. And then as we're coming in, we start fading in. Yeah. So right about here, we should be there. And then once we get all the way to the end, we'll just go all the way. Let's see if that will work. Yeah, maybe though towards the end we can actually, let's see where the keyframes are for this. Maybe towards the end we can keep the focus on the sword. And what does this do if we, okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay. Now we're talking. So I think what needs to happen is that I need to clear keyframes here for the strength. And then we just keep the strength way up. Let's say 30, because why not? It's our party, and we cry if we want to. Okay. And now adjust this so that I don't. There we go. So now that feels good. Let's go here and give this some metallic values because it's a board. Let's see what how we're doing here with the roughness. think we can afford to bring up the... It's a bit much, being honest. We want, yeah, just back to 1. Okay, I think that this is feeling better. We can grab this empty, go to the graph editor, and on the Z location, add a noise modifier that will replace the noise. Right now it's going to go, yep, it's aggressive. We'll change the scale so that we're just ever so slightly bobbing up and down. That's pretty aggressive. Maybe we change the strength too. That feels like a float, doesn't it? A little bit. And then maybe we'll do something similar for this where we can add a noise modifier. And what does that do? That looks nutty. We don't necessarily want that. So we will undo that. And then instead select it. And for the mix shader, maybe we add a noise modifier there. No. Where we will add some noise and then replace instead. Okay, we've got 20 minutes left. Let's see how we're doing. I mean, this feels good to me. And isn't that what it's all about? Do I wish the sword were a little more... pronounced over here? Yeah, I do. How did you know? Let's undo this. Reasonable move, but ultimately maybe not the right move. Okay, maybe something that we can do that will make this feel a little better is if we change the color or play with the color of this. But maybe not here actually, because we actually want it in this section. So there we go. Yes, much better. And to keep things, can we still see the sword a little bit? That's fine by me. That's okay. But to keep things a little more interesting, I actually want to duplicate this, delete all its keyframes. Oops. And maybe what do we do? Maybe rotate it a little bit. Feels cool. But you can hardly see the sword. Okay, we need the front one to not be so bright in that moment. So we will make a new material and we'll call this front low. Bring it down. Yup. And then we keep going and we're up and up. I like that there, but then we need to come down. Oh, it does it naturally, and that way we see more of the sword as we're going. So this is good, but let's actually keep seeing the sword here. Then we're going, oh, that. Here, we'll bring it down again. And be able to see the sword. Okay, that feels good. Okay. I don't think we're gonna get much wilder than this. We got 15 minutes, which gives us 15 minutes to edit all this into something. Stand for this part. And I recommend you do too. Okay. Got our sword here. Great. Let's see if maybe there's something we can do to further offset this. Hue saturation value. Maybe we can bring it up a little bit. And then that way, it's pronounced. Digging this cotton candy pink. We got Dang It Digital in the chat. Hello. Thanks for joining. I'm also digging this cotton candy pink automaton sword situation. What was I going to do? Yes, let's check. Still some things that are a little too dark. Several things that are a little too bright, like all of that. But I think for a few moments that's okay. The most important thing is the friends we made along the way, but also making sure that the lights look good. I should have saved before I hit that button. Let's save now. Okay. Okay, but the last frame should definitely be mostly sword. So we're going to take front flow and bring it all the way down to here, I guess. And maybe we can make this feel a little less boring by taking the sword. Can I select it? Yep. Hello? What the? Take the sword. Oh my god. Blade. And just scale this part. Take the blade here and mark it. And I wonder if there's anything I can do to make this a little more intense. So we'll close this, close that. Don't need this. Blade, blade, blade. Here we go. We can make it brighter for sure. More saturated for sure. Blade. We also want to do the same thing. Add a mix shader here and then a transparent shader. Add that. And now if we turn off all of this stuff. Okay. What do we got? 10 minutes. 10 minutes. That's not a lot. Okay, we saved. Something's still off about the lighting in this whole thing. Let's see the sun. Aha! Sun's screwing us up. Oh yeah, I like that a lot better. But for some annoying reason, where's this front flow or glow? Front. There we go. 125. Let's go. Aha, so it's not taking. Why? Oh, I think I know why. Mhm. That is the opposite of what we want. Yes. Bingo. Okay, so now we can still see the sword, sadly. But we have to fix this one part. Just this one bit here, because it's killing me. That looks a little better. Okay, great. Don't get too precious with it. We gotta render it. We gotta do a bunch of stuff. And we only have 7 minutes. Okay. Bake the light. That ought to make a big difference. Cool. Looks good. Let's see if it looks just as good in... Wait a minute. Is this not cyclical? Or cyclic? Blade. It is. Okay. And let's see if it looks just as good in cycles. Or if it looks... Oh. Okay. Ooh. Is it that big of a difference? Not really. But you annoyingly can't really see the blade too much. We got 5 minutes. Let's see if we can make this happen. So we got the blade. We don't have to be in cycles for all this stuff. We've got the second blade. And I want to take some parts of it, like this, and this. Oh, come on. There we go. And this. And maybe these. Select the opposite and delete those faces. And now it's huge for some reason. We make this heated steel. Nope. Don't understand why that material insists on looking terrible and everything. Maybe it's just the way things were meant to be. Oh no. Steel. Good enough to me. That feels a little better in terms of... Oh, that's not it. We're cutting through? I don't know. There we go, though. Is this staying still when it's supposed to turn? No, we're turning. We're all turning. Okay, that feels a lot better. What is that? Damn. Something happened, and now everything's broken. Somehow this second flow over here scaled down. Hmm. Why don't we just make this this, but make it go to UV editor and we'll change into. Ooh, we're about to be at time in 1 minute. Okay. We'll change that into. Wait, that's not the right one, is it? This one. Project from view. We got it. And let's give ourselves some light like that. And now. Yes, son. All right, cool. Happy with that. Let's bake this. And spot check. I don't like that right there. Maybe we can get away with a cheeky camera zoom. So we'll start at this length. Let's see what happens if we go a little wider. That's actually not bad. Start here, and then we'll bump in right around here. Still see everything here. We can also maybe move the camera a little to right there. Maybe like this. Yeah, then we see the top, which is fine. There's not much to see. And we didn't actually move the camera, we just moved the volume. Son of a gun. Okay. There we go. This is the second camera spot, so let's actually just make it like this. Kind of almost smack dab in the middle. A bit. So now we're going from here to here. And let's be a little more zoomed out here. And then we finally land there. No, we finally land there. And we want all of this to be kind of smooth. Yeah, that's good. 12:02, calling it. We've been going for almost 2 hours now. And we've got our sword, which is the goal. So here goes our final bits before I start rendering. And now I'm wondering if it makes sense. 1, 2. Let's see. I've got this front one here. Maybe we change the color just a little bit on the front one. Okay. Oops. Yeah, that feels good. Okay, so last run through, I'm gonna see if we can bake some lights. And we've got our sword. And there we go. I would like this end bit to, who's this offender? It's the back glow. So let's grab that. Nope. Yep. And let's make sure. These the only options available? That doesn't feel right. If we take this flow, there we go, mix shader. And then we bring it. Nope, that's not what we want. Right there. Just stay right there. Yes. Okay. I'm happy with that. We're done. We are done. Amazing. So now all that's left to do is to render this, and I will do that off camera and then post it. So if you're not, if you're curious to see what that looks like and you're not already following me on socials, then why don't you go ahead and do that? All of my information is in the links in the description, but it's just my name on whatever platform you like to use. Camera move isn't the best, but will live. I'm pretty happy with this one. Kept it under 2 hours, kind of, save for 6 minutes. But we've got this looping, cool automaton sword animation, and I'm gonna add a bunch of kind of like electricity sounds here. It's looping backwards, to make it a little more like static sounds as this is happening. And yeah, that concludes today's stream. Thanks so much for joining. Stick around online on Discord and elsewhere for the final result. But this is it. Automaton day 3. We've done 2 lives so far. Marcel the Shell, which I showed during my last stream, and I'll open up here, was day 1. here is Marcel in all their glory. The sword was a little toothpick. And then yesterday on stream, we did Moss. And this was a sort of pirate sword of sorts. And then today, Automaton, which looks like this. Would you look at that? Well done. All right, so hopefully we'll do the next one tomorrow at around the same time. If not, catch me on Saturday or catch me outside. How about that? I'll see you later.